What's good, IE Sports Radio fans? It's your boy, the undisputed heavyweight champion of IE Sports Radio. Who else but me, the SoCal Saint, back at it again with another fresh episode of the IE Wrestling Show, the premier professional wrestling podcast on the premier sports broadcasting network, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of our awesome Wednesday lineup, the Bayou Bulletin. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now you can sit back and enjoy the sultry sounds of the SoCal Saint, talking about all that is going on in the world of professional wrestling, as only the SoCal Saint can do. Yes, I'm referring to myself in the third person. That's because the SoCal Saint can do that. He has it like that. Shout out to Ralph Calise in the chat room. What's good, brother? And for real, I got to do this for you, Ralph. Salud. I got a cup of coffee just for you, man. Great show yesterday, Ralph. I tuned in. I caught the tail end of it. I wish I had caught the whole thing, but I'm going to have to go back and listen to it, man. That's the Yinzer Report. Ralph Calise, he's the host of that. If you haven't listened or watched this, he had his first ever streaming show live on YouTube yesterday. You should go to YouTube, our official YouTube page at IE Sports Radio, and check it out if you haven't seen it. And if you haven't listened to his show, do yourself a favor and go back and listen to his library of his past episodes. You won't be disappointed. And please like, share, and subscribe to this episode. We are streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on X. We're streaming live on Instagram. Sorry, had a brain fart for a second. And guys, I'm streaming live on my official X page at IE Wrestling Show. That's at IE Wrestling Show. That's also the handle for my official TikTok page. Please do yourself a favor, like, share, and follow that as well. Like, share, subscribe. IE Sports Radio. Check it out. Go to our official pages on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. And check out our official website, iesportsradio.com. It is an awesome website you can join for free and check out the long list catalog of all of our IE Sports Radio shows. And you will not be disappointed if you are just now becoming a fan of IE Sports Radio and want to catch some old episodes. If you're just becoming a fan of the IE Sports Radio's premier professional wrestling podcast, the IE Wrestling Show, you can listen to some of my past episodes as well on my official page that's on the website. And if you are really trying to show your support for IE Sports Radio, do yourself a favor and check out our merch store. Go to IE Sports Radio at our shop and check, cap yourself some of these, guys. This beautiful shirt, IE Sports Radio official logo t-shirt. If you're one to represent IE Sports Radio like you can only can, a hat, to fill out the outfit, looking fresh and fit. You know what I'm saying? I need to get me a hat. Larry, head honcho of IE Sports Radio, if you hear me, brother, your bald brother needs a hat. And we couldn't do any of this, guys, without your support and passion for sports. And not only that, we couldn't do it without our official sponsors that keep the lights on, keep us doing what we're doing for y'all every single day of the week. I'm talking about Planet Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky. It's muy delicioso. And, of course, Seal the Deal wax seals. They keep the lights on for us, guys. And if you don't believe me, check out the IE Sports Radio's official sponsors, and we'll be back with you in just a moment, okay?
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
What's good, guys? I hope you all enjoyed that quick little show of love to our official sponsors, Planet Jerky and Seal the Deal Wax Seals. I gotta say, Head Honcho Larry B, tell Mrs. Head Honcho Larry B that I enjoyed her nice little rhyme there in the commercial. The if you bring the deal, we bring the seals. I dug that. I like that. Very wrestling oriented. I love that. You know, chiming those together. That was cool. I love that wordplay on its best. So what we're going to get into today, guys, we're going to talk about this past weekend's NXT Battleground that took place live in Las Vegas, Sin City at the UFC Apex. What a crazy, crazy time we live in that a WWE produced event took place inside of a UFC owned facility. And it was really cool because whenever they jumped into the beginning of the show, they had these awesome shots of the halls of the UFC, which is almost like a mini museum because they had a lot of posters from the old UFC events. Like whenever UFC first started, like I don't know if anybody remembers like the old school UFC events from the early 90s where it was like a really jacked dude like posed like this, like punching the earth. And it said like the ultimate fighting championship, you know, like it, you know, and they would it was like a one night tournament. And this used to be bar knuckle fighting. Like it was almost like anything goes, you know what I mean? They didn't have gloves and you know, and safety precautions in place, you know, back in the day. This was bare knuckle fighting. This is when you had beasts like, you know, Ron H2O Waterman and Dan the Beast Severn and the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. And of course, Hoist Gracie, you know, legends in the sport of mixed martial arts. And then you had this show presented by the WWE inside these now, I guess you could say, sort of hollowed halls of the UFC Apex. But it was cool. The atmosphere was great. I loved it. I was telling Larry B before we went on the air that it kind of gave me feels of old school professional wrestling from the territory days back in the 80s, where they did a lot of television studio tapings where you had just a small amount of you know, a real condensed like crowd that just made it more like just more special in a way, you know what I mean? Like a lot of NWA old school NWA and AWA tapings were like that. WWF at the time had a couple of events that were like that as well when they weren't selling out Madison Square Garden, you know what I mean? So it had a nice feel to it. And we kicked off the event, of course, with the host of the host of the event, the recording artist, Sexy Red, came out to introduce everyone to Battleground. She quickly skedaddled to the back where we got into the very first match of the night, which was to crown the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion. And of course, the participants in that match are as follows. The match included Sol Ruka, Lash Legend, Fallon Henley, Jada Parker, Michin Mia Yim, and Keelani Jordan. And it was awesome that this match kicked off the event because years ago when the NXT brand introduced the men's North American Championship to the product, it was at a takeover during WrestleMania weekend in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, when WrestleMania 30 came to New Orleans. So it's so funny that 10 years later, we introduce a title with the same namesake as the men's mid-card championship on NXT. And it was the year of the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania. And this was the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania this year. it's cool how they kind of correlate it together like that. It's real subtle how they do that. And Kehlani Jordan, the rookie Kehlani Jordan, was the ultimate winner of this match after a hard-fought match with all these ladies putting it all on the line. There was a lot of awesome spots in this match. There was this one awesome spot where Lash Legend, who was literally the biggest woman out of all the ladies in this match, was carried gorilla press style above the heads of all the other women, and they chucked her over the top rope, and she didn't exactly go through the ladder, but she landed right on a ladder that was positioned from the ring apron to the announcer's table, and she kind of made it bend a little bit, but it didn't exactly break. So she literally bounced off the ladder and hit the ringside area. I don't know. I hope she didn't get hurt because it was a nasty bump. And then Sol Ruka was the highlight of this match as well, where she hit her awesome finisher, the Soul Snatcher, which if you haven't seen this girl hit her finishing move, the Soul Snatcher, it's awesome. It always pops the crowd. It's a front flip into a cutter where she jumps off the middle rope, front flips, and grabs the opponent as she turns over, boom, hitting them in a cutter, almost like a flipping RKO. It's so awesome if you haven't seen her finisher. She hit it on Fallon Henley and Jada Parker. Then she ended up getting knocked off the ladder by Meechin, who then was knocked off the ladder by Kehlani Jordan, who positioned Meechin onto a ladder and hit her springboard, spread-legged moonsault, which she calls the one-of-a-kind, which was awesome that it's called that because that is the theme song name of Rob Van Dam's WWE theme song. And apparently she is a big fan of Rob Van Dam, WWE Hall of Famer, RVD, Mr. Monday Night, Mr. Pay-Per-View, all that good stuff. Rob Van Dam, of course. So it's funny that she named a move that Rob Van Dam does in almost every match that he's ever had, which is a spread-legged moonsault. She called it the one-of-a-kind. And that knocked Meechin out of the match, which gave Kehlani the opportunity to climb the ladder and become the first ever women's North American champion in NXT history. She will forever be in the history books as the first ever women's North American champion. Congratulations to Kehlani Jordan on an awesome victory. I'm so happy for her. And she makes history because her oh, there you go. Thank you. I love that. Thank you. Yes, very much so. Golf clap, everyone. Golf clap. She her and her beau, her real life boyfriend, former NXT champion, and also a former NXT men's North American champion, Carmelo Hayes, and her become the first couple to ever be North American champions together. So that's really cool to see. We went on to the next match, which is actually a really awesome match. It was a conflict in styles. It was the NXT tag team title match, which was Nathan Frazier and Axiom successfully defending their NXT tag team titles against the OC, the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. In an awesome match, like I said, it was definitely a conflict in styles because you had the high-flying, fast-paced action of Axiom and Nathan Frazier and the hard-hitting New Japan style, strong style of the OC, Anderson and Gallows. And I really thought they were going to give the titles to Gallows and Anderson because this is one of the only tag team titles they have never held, the NXT tag team titles. But surprisingly and almost shockingly, to the surprise of myself, and I don't know if any others were thinking that they were going to get the titles. I certainly did. I really thought they were going to win the titles. But lo and behold, Axiom and Nathan Frazier pulled it out when Nathan Frazier and Axiom hit a combination, which was awesome. Carl Anderson got hit with a Spanish fly, which is for those who don't know, it's really, man, I wish I had some video to show you guys because it's a little hard to, or I wish I had my wrestling figures from when I was a kid to show you guys. But a Spanish fly is or a super Spanish fly is what it was. From the very top rope, both wrestlers are standing on the top rope. One is holding the other like you're going to do like a face buster. But what you do is a backflip off the top rope together and slam your opponent onto the mat. That's what Axiom did to Carl Anderson, which led to Nathan Frazier hitting the top rope and hitting a Phoenix Splash, which is a corkscrew plancha onto Carl Anderson. 1, 2, 3. Axiom and Frazier still your NXT tag team champions. And then one of the highlights of the event for sure was this match. It was the NXT Underground match between Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice. The ropes were taken off. The turnbuckles were taken off. There was no ring ropes whatsoever. It was just the posts and an empty ring with wrestlers and crew members surrounding the ring. And these two women basically had an MMA style fight in the UFC Apex at an NXT event. And it was really, really great. It was fantastic. This match blew me away, I have to say. I was hopefully, in my head thinking, I hope this doesn't turn into a shit show, but it really didn't. This match really surprised me. It was hard hitting. It was believable. That's the first thing. It was believable. The thing that I was afraid of was I hope this doesn't turn out like the SummerSlam MMA match between Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, because that match was hot garbage. It was boring. It was just contrived. There's no passion in it. You could just see that Ronda Rousey didn't give two shits about what was going on, even though she was putting over her legitimate real life friend, Shayna Baszler. And I feel like that almost hurt Shayna Baszler's career, the way that match ended up, because Ronda was leaving. She was out the door after SummerSlam last year. She wasn't coming back, and she's definitely not coming back. All the crap she's been talking outside of WWE since she retired from wrestling. But with that said, this match definitely made up for it. Shayna, this was like her coming out party as far as being a badass. Lola Vice as well. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. She's curvy. But can she kick your ass? Oh, hell yeah, she can. And she proved it in this underground match. This match ended in such an awesome way. Lola hit Shayna with a backhanded fist, knocking her out of the ring onto like at least 4 or 5 guys at ringside. She grabbed her, brought her back into the ring, and just started pounding on her head. It was like a UFC fight where she's just hitting her in the side of the head over and over again. The referee had to just break it up and pull her apart and call a TKO finish. And that's how it ended. It was awesome. It was fantastic. Shayna was playing the part of, like she legit looked like a deer in headlights. She didn't know where she was. She didn't even know if the fight was over, because at one point Shayna was actually tackling the referee, and I'm thinking that it was Lola, that she didn't even realize that the match was over. But lo and behold, Lola defeated Shayna Baszler to win the first ever NXT Underground match on a premium live event, because usually this match is reserved for NXT television, but this is the first time they were ever able to have an NXT Underground match live on a premium live event. So that was really cool to see that these two women made history. A lot of history-making moments going on at NXT Battleground. And the next match on the card was the triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. Oba Femi defeated Wesley and Joe Coffey to retain his NXT North American Championship. This boy is a beast. Oh my God. Oba Femi is a beast. He is a star in the making. This dude is jacked to the gills. He is a big old boy, man. This dude he's legit a monster, and he is talented. This guy can move like nobody's business. He looks like he shouldn't be able to move an inch, but this guy can move like a cruiserweight. And the contrast in styles with the British strong style of Coffey, the high flying style of Wesley, and just the sheer power of Oba just made an awesome triple threat match. And sometimes triple threat matches can be real clunky, real messy, but these guys put on a fantastic match. It was just banger after, I hate to take that term from Sheamus, but it was banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. Yes, that's what it was, guys. These guys put on a hell of a match. There was one real awesome spot in this match where Oba picked up Wesley, had him over his head, legit held him like this. He had his arms stretched out straight and just tossed Wesley onto Joe Coffey like a cross body block from halfway across the ring. And it was like the movie Friday, like when Craig and Smokey go like, damn! That's how everybody was watching that moment, man. It was one of those type of moments. Oba Femi ended up winning this match by defeating and pinning Joe Coffey with a big pop-up powerbomb in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. And that calls it. That's it. That's the end of that match. Oba Femi, still the NXT North American champion. I don't know who can beat him. I really don't. Like, I mean, the way this guy's been booked, he's unstoppable. The only thing I see in his future is a future NXT championship run, because I feel like that's the next trajectory for him, is to go to the next level. And then finally, this next match was I feel like this match should have actually main evented because of how big of a moment this really was. But, with all things aside, it didn't main event, but it was the semi-main event of this event. It was the NXT Women's Championship. NXT versus TNA. Roxanne Perez retained her NXT Championship against TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace. And this was a surreal moment. The crowd was really in awe of seeing what we were seeing, because for the first time ever, we had a TNA talent and an NXT talent competing for an NXT championship on a NXT premium live event. Never been done before. They've had guys come in, before, like we had years ago. Tyler Breeze took on New Japan Pro Wrestling legend Jushin Thunder Liger at an NXT takeover in Brooklyn, but that was many, many years ago. That was like a once in a lifetime thing, because it hadn't even been done since then. And now we have this NXT TNA agreement in place where there's a future in this, where this isn't the last time we're going to see the two sides collaborating, especially after what Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion, said last night on NXT, which I'll get into here in a little bit. But this match was very hard hitting. You could see Roxanne was a little worse for wear at times, because let's be real, Jordynne Grace is jacked to the gills, and it was like this, like little Roxanne and Jordan. You know what I mean? Like she just encapsulated Roxanne, and Roxanne was definitely looking stressed at times in this match. And it was cool to see at ringside. I just want to take note, former two-time WWE Women's Champion and a TNA Hall of Famer, multiple-time TNA Knockouts champion, and actually the head of the TNA Women's Division currently, Gail Kim, was seated at ringside during this match, which I thought was awesome to see Gail Kim back into the fold of the WWE in such a way. You know what I mean? So that was really cool to see. And I heard that the president of TNA was actually backstage co-mingling with the superstars of NXT and speaking with the head of NXT, of course, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, which was also cool to hear, because this is really a thing. This is a new era, guys. Like truly, this is a new era for the WWE, because never would you ever see this during the previous era. There is no way that, he who should not be named would have the president of another wrestling company backstage at one of his shows, let alone having their talent in the ring presented in such a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just no way that would ever happen under the old regime. So thank God we're living in the 2024 era of the WWE for sure. You know what I'm saying? This is big things. But anyway, of course, the match ended in a little bit of a screwy fashion, but that doesn't take away from how good the match was. Tatum Paxley of NXT came out through the crowd and grabbed Jordynne Grace's TNA Knockouts World Championship and tried to leave the arena with it. Then she was stopped at ringside by Ash by Elegance, who is a current TNA talent and formerly in the WWE known as Dana Brooke. So it was like Dana Brooke's return to the WWE under her new ring name, interfering with Tatum Paxley trying to take Jordynne Grace's TNA Knockouts Championship, which I feel like is a kind of a foreshadowing that maybe Tatum will be one of the NXT talents that jump ship to TNA to have a match on their television programming. So, fingers crossed. That would actually be really cool to see. Anyway, with that said, Jordynne Grace got distracted by this, went outside, took out Ash and Tatum, went back into the ring and tried to hit her finisher on Roxanne, which then Roxanne countered into a cutter, which then she hit her rocks. What does she call it? Pop rocks? That's what she calls her finisher, pop rocks, which is a flipping schoolboy into a cover. 1, 2, 3. Roxanne Perez retains her NXT Women's Championship. And then we come to the main event. All ego Ethan Page challenging Trick Williams, the reigning defending NXT champion on his first ever match in NXT. Not many people can say that their very first match in a wrestling company is for its world title. So congratulations to All Ego Ethan Page for being one of very few to have done that. But sorry to say, he got that whooped. He got his ego whooped. Trick whooped that Trick. Trick Williams still the NXT champion after this match. It was a pretty fair fight, I would say. Like All Ego Ethan Page and Trick Williams really brought out the best in each other. They had a very, very solid match. Don't listen to guys like Dave Meltzer, fucking Tuna Meltzer, because he is trying to just dispel the success of NXT and try to bring up any negativity he could possibly can, because NXT is outshining his baby, his darling, his All Elite Wrestling. So, or excuse me, let me correct that Arena Empty Wrestling. So, you can ignore him and just trust what I say. This was a solid match. It was a great match. It was a great first title defense for Trick Williams. And speaking of Arena Empty Wrestling, All Ego Ethan Page, in his entrance alone, just his entrance, the music, the presentation, everything about his entrance showed All Ego as a solid star. He looked more like a star in 5 minutes on NXT's Premium Live event than he did the entire time he was in Arena Empty Wrestling. His entire career in AEW couldn't even present him the way that NXT presented him for the first 5 minutes of his entrance. So I think he made the right choice. Just saying. Very solid event for NXT. Very solid pay-per-view. And hopefully it leads to another solid pay-per-view, because during the broadcast, they announced that next month, I don't have a date on hand right now. I do apologize. But next month, they will be coming back for a Premium Live event in Toronto on the weekend of Money in the Bank weekend, because Money in the Bank will also be held in Toronto, in TO. It'll be NXT Heatwave Toronto next month. Once I have that date and they start announcing matches, of course, I will discuss it here live on the IE Wrestling Show. We're going to take a short little break, guys, and we're going to hear from some of our awesome affiliates with IE Sports Radio, our fellow shows of IE Sports Radio, and we'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned, guys, because we're going to go over the upcoming Premium Live event of TNA Against All Odds is coming Friday, and, of course, WWE Clash at the Castle this Saturday. Stay tuned, guys.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Whine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, guys? Welcome back to the IE Wrestling Show. Hopefully you're still staying tuned. We just discussed the results of NXT Battleground that happened this past weekend in Las Vegas, Sin City. And we are going to get into some more previews for upcoming premium live events. Of course, the next one will actually be this Friday, which I almost totally forgot about. TNA Against All Odds. And then Saturday, of course, in Glasgow, Scotland, it will be Clash at the Castle, WWE's big premium live event for the month of June. We're going to get into that here shortly. But real quick, let's get into some wrestling news, guys. Before we get into that, I'm going to pull up my notes here real quick. Let me pull up my notes. Yeah, my notes. All right, so if you guys have been living under a rock, at least on social media terms of wrestling news and stuff, Ricochet, former WWE Intercontinental Champion, former WWE United States Champion, former NXT North American Champion. He's had a lot of accolades. Most recently, he was the WWE Speed Champion, which is a 3-minute program that airs on X every Wednesdays. I think it actually might be airing after the show is off the air. After my show's off the air, I think it's like mid-afternoon is when they air it. But Ricochet apparently gave notice to the WWE that he will not be re-signing with the company unless, something is being kept very close to the vest, and we don't know. But that's what everyone is saying because Ricochet was seemingly written off of WWE television this past Monday night on Raw. He had a moment with Braun Breaker after Braun Breaker's amazing match with Ilya Dragunov. If anybody did not see that, you missed a fantastic wrestling match between Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov. These two former NXT champions put on a fucking clinic on Monday Night Raw. These guys had one of the best wrestling matches of the year so far, and I don't shy away when I say that. They really did have one of the best matches I'd seen on Monday Night Raw in a very, very long time. This is definitely one of the top matches of the year for sure. If you haven't seen the match, you need to go back and look for it and watch it yourself. It is a hard-hitting match. It definitely presented Ilya and Braun in the strongest way possible. These guys, even in defeat, Ilya Dragunov looked like a fucking star, and Braun looking like $1 million. Like, these two guys are the future of this company for sure. Ricochet showed up at the end of this match, saving Ilya from being speared through the barricade, hitting a big-ass clothesline on Braun, and then drop-kicking him out of the arena through the crowd. And we thought we would never see Braun the rest of the night. Ricochet and Braun ended up getting into a backstage fight where Braun Breaker picked up Ricochet and power slammed him through a car windshield. And that was it. Ricochet was taken by ambulance to a hospital, and he rode off into the sunset. If that's the case, that's the last image we will see of Ricochet on WWE programming, being hauled off by ambulance to a medical facility. So I don't know, guys. It's up in the air. I'm not going to believe the rumors until I actually see what happens. A lot of people expect Ricochet to sign with AEW, which, more power to him, because Ricochet will definitely get a bag from Tony Khan, because Tony Khan is all about taking out his daddy's checkbook and being like, how many zeros do you want on that, guys? Oh, okay. Here you go. Well, here you go. He's all about that because daddy's money is apparently endless. So whatever he can spend on a talent, he will. So that's the rumor, especially with Will Ospreay, who is their current AEW All-Atlantic champion, doing recent interviews on podcasts where he says he would love to have Ricochet come into AEW and revisit their feud from back in the day. Sure. I mean, they're a lot older now, both of them, from when they first feuded, a few years back. Hell, it's more than a few years back because Ricochet was in the company for 10 years. I didn't even realize, but 10 years has flown by, but Ricochet has been in the WWE for 10 years. So his feud with Will Ospreay predates that. So, what I mean? I guess that'd be cool, but Ricochet, get your money, man, wherever you can get it. I think he should personally stay with the WWE because he's not going to get the exposure that he's going to get from them elsewhere, even in AEW, even though in Tony Khan's mind, AEW is a solid, or the best wrestling company there is. And this is where the best wrestle. This is where the best wrestle, in Tony Khan's mind. But you got to look at it realistically. Nobody has the global reach of WWE. AEW doesn't. AEW's already lost their television rights overseas in different countries already. So I don't know what global reach they have, but it's definitely not like WWE's. You know what I mean? They're not a globally recognized company. So there you have it. And another superstar who has recently re-signed and could possibly be winning a championship this coming weekend is Chad Gable. Chad Gable his contract was up for renewal. And apparently, if rumors are to be believed, Chad Gable has in fact re-signed with the WWE, and he'll be sticking around for the foreseeable future. And I feel like this could be the opportunity for him to win the Intercontinental Championship this coming weekend at Clash of the Castle. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens this coming weekend. But Chad Gable has definitely been doing some of his best work since turning heel against Sami Zayn and becoming like this bully of a mentor to the rest of the members of the Alpha Academy, Tozawa, and Otis, especially Otis, and Maxine. So I'm glad that Chad Gable has re-signed with the company, or at least if you believe the rumors that he has re-signed with the company, because I feel like Chad Gable is definitely the superstar that they've been looking for, because they've been looking for the new Kurt Angle since Kurt Angle left the company all the way back in 2006. They've been looking for a Kurt Angle style wrestler, and lo and behold, they've had one under their nose this entire time in Chad Gable. I feel like Chad Gable is the second coming of Kurt Angle. And even Kurt Angle has said on his own podcast that he would love to get back in the WWE and manage Chad Gable, which would be super meta as F. You know what I mean? If Kurt Angle was Chad Gable's manager. And then maybe they could create a new Team Angle with the Creed brothers, because that's another rumor that's been going around for quite some time, that Chad Gable will ultimately just disembowel, not disembowel, depart from God, man, I need to have a thesaurus with me. He will disband. There you go. That's the word. He will disband the Alpha Academy and start a new group with the Creed brothers. That's the rumor. So, we'll see what happens with that. And this past Tuesday, which was last night, Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes, showed up on NXT television. He congratulated Trick Williams, the NXT champion, on a successful title defense at Battleground, and then announced to Trick and the NXT universe that were watching live in the Performance Center and, of course, on television, that next week on NXT television, there will be a 25-man battle royal to decide the next challenger to Trick Williams's NXT championship. And Cody was real, foreboding in the way he worded this. He said some of these participants aren't under contract to NXT, which means I think we will see some TNA talent involved in this battle royal, which would be awesome. The possibilities are endless, guys. I mean, I would love to see Josh Alexander, who made a tweet after that was announced. Josh Alexander tweeted on X about it. Alexander Hammerstone, who is one of the newer signees to TNA and a former MLW Major League Wrestling World Champion, where he just tweeted one word, interesting. And then another person who tweeted about it, who I would love to see return for even if it's a one-off. Yes, Broken Matt Hardy tweeted about coming into the land of NXT after he slays the TNA World Champion Moose at Against All Odds, after he deletes him. Delete. Maybe we'll see Matt Hardy show up in NXT. Who knows, guys? We live in a new era. And in an awesome backstage segment that took place at NXT's television last night, it was a very, I keep saying the word meta, but it really was a meta moment. We had a quote-unquote all-elite moment in NXT because 4 former talents of All Elite Wrestling had a segment backstage with each other. Undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, All Ego Ethan Page, Shawn Spears, and Lexis King, all former talents in All Elite Wrestling, all had a moment backstage with each other, and it was really, really cool to see. And even Cody had kind of took a subtle jab at AEW when he saw all 3 of his former buddies from AEW and said, "You guys are in a good place," which was like, oh, yeah, they are, because they are. Their careers have totally 180 since they left the company. So that was really cool to see. And then if you follow the NXT official X page, they did, for my comic book fans out there, they did the Spider-Man meme where all the Spider-Men are pointing at each other. You know, they're all sitting around in a circle just pointing at each other. Eagle Ethan Page is like this, and Cody's like this. You know, they're all pointing at each other like, hey, we used to be in that other company together. It was really cool to see. And then in another cool backstage moment that happened last night on NXT, Cody Rhodes gifted his former face mask when he was undashing Cody Rhodes back in the day in his first run with the WWE to NXT women's wrestler Jacy Jayne, who's currently wearing a black face mask due to I forgot, I don't know if it was an orbital injury or a nose injury that she suffered, but it was really cool to see. And she was excited to hold this classic mask that Cody Rhodes wore during a really cool period in his early career. And Jacy Jayne's running mate looked at her and said, "That's dashing." I see what you did there. It was really cool to see. It was really, really cool to see, guys. So a lot of big things happening in NXT. I can't wait for that 25-man battle royal next week. I can't wait to see who will show up in this match. It's really going to be a toss-up and something that we're all, us wrestling fans, will be looking forward to. So I have this really cool thing I wanted to share. It actually came across it from ESPN, but it was all over the wrestling media news as well. Fans of the NHL, the National Hockey League, WWE keeping up with their tradition of making championship titles for other sports brands, because following from their deals with the NFL and Major League Baseball, because they now have championship titles for all NFL and Major League Baseball teams, WWE has now entered its first ever licensing deal with the NHL, guys. WWE will produce the Stanley Cup Champions Legacy title belts that will be available to purchase following this year's Stanley Cup Finals between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Isn't that something, guys? That's big time, guys. WWE doing big things. Making NHL championship titles. Let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. I know I don't have a picture. This is going to be real ghetto, but check that out. Look at that beautiful Stanley Cup WWE championship title, guys. Isn't that something? That is just gorgeous. That is a new championship title. The first of its kind is going to be presented to this year's Stanley Cup champions. So not only are they going to get to hold that beautiful Stanley Cup above their head, they're going to have an awesome championship title to match with it, guys. WWE, man, they are officially a sports brand, guys. An awesome sports brand. Oh, thank you. Yes, there it is. That's a better look at it. But isn't that fantastic, guys? I love that. That's probably one of the prettier custom championships that they've made in a very long time. I'm really excited about that. That's big stuff, guys. Big stuff. And one last little tidbit of news before we get into the preview of these next premium live events this coming Friday and Saturday, a major announcement will be made from Pro Wrestling Noah, which is one of the bigger Japanese wrestling companies in Japan. And the WWE will be making an announcement this coming Sunday. A message from a certain wrestler will also be released. The wrestler who is going to be making this announcement is being kept under wraps. This will take place during their Yokohama Buntai event this coming Sunday, June 16th. That is Pro Wrestling Noah's Yokohama Buntai event. But WWE apparently now getting into a relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah. You got AEW having relationships with CMLL and AAA in Mexico, and of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling in Japan. WWE is over here making partners with GCW, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, Pro Wrestling Noah now, and of course, TNA. This is a new era. Wrestling is in its biggest period ever, I think. I think this might be bigger than the Attitude Era, guys. And a lot of people will be like, oh, that's blasphemy. How could you say that? The Attitude Era is the ultimate era because it's my childhood. Yes, the Attitude Era was fantastic. It's what made me a wrestling fan. It's what made a lot of us wrestling fans. The Monday Night Wars, WWE, WCW, ECW, you know, those were classic moments. But this is a new era. This is a new millennia, so to speak. We are in 2024. We're older now, guys. It's not like the old days. If you look back at some of those old episodes of Raw, they're kind of hard to get through, to be honest. I mean, because the wrestling matches are few and far between that are fantastic if they're not, you know, on pay-per-view. And you really watch it for the moments. The moments are remembered more than the matches. And I feel like now you get a little bit of both. You get classic moments, but you have classic matches to back it up now, because you have these new type of athletes, these new type of wrestlers that have come into fruition over the last 10, 15 years, and they're in the prime of their careers right now. And I feel like we are just living in one of the best, if not the best eras of professional wrestling right now. So that's just my opinion, guys. That's my opinion. You can take it for what it's worth. You can believe it if you want, or you could disagree with me. That's the beauty of it. It's all subjective. We're going to take another quick little break, guys, and we'll be back where we're going to talk about the upcoming card for TNA Against All Odds and Clash at the Castle. Look at that. Clash at the Castle, Glasgow. I mixed up Castle and Glasgow. Don't mind me. I'll be right back with you guys in just a moment.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph DeLeese, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold and have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
Let's go! That was my boy Ralph Calise with the Yinzer Report, guys. We are back here on the IE Wrestling Show. Thanks for that, Ralph. I appreciate that. Man, so we talked about a lot. I showcased y'all the beautiful NHL Stanley Cup Championship belt. WWE now has a licensing deal with Major League Baseball, NFL, and the National Hockey League. Isn't that nuts? How much longer will it be before we get the NBA championship titles? I'm telling you, I don't care how expensive that shit is. I will buy myself a Lakers championship title. Lake Show all day, baby. I'll have that purple and gold belt around my waist, man. That's that is insane. I know I got Larry B. I know he'd be right there with me. We'd be the Lakers tag team champions of the world. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. Hell yeah. So let's get into it, guys. We're going to be talking about TNA Against All Odds. TNA's upcoming premium live event this coming Friday. It's going to be live from the Cicero Stadium in Cicero, Illinois. TNA's Against All Odds. This actually pay-per-view event used to take place in February back in the day, but apparently now it's moved into the summer. And this is going to actually a really strong card. I'm really excited for this event. The first match, or the only match that's announced for the pre-show, will be a former TNA World Champion taking on a former Ring of Honor World Champion. Sami Callihan will go one-on-one with Jonathan Gresham. This is definitely going to be a contrast in styles. I know I feel like I say that a lot, but that's the beauty of wrestling, because you have many wrestlers with different styles. If everyone wrestled the same way, it would get really boring really, really fast. So Sami Callihan is definitely more of a hardcore style wrestler, and you got Jonathan Gresham, who is a technical wizard in the ring. He's definitely a submission specialist, and these two contrasting styles should have a very good match to get the crowd ready, excited for the official pay-per-view to begin. And the official pay-per-view has these matches on the card. It will be Josh Alexander and Eric Young, two former TNA World Champions, tag teaming together for the very first time to take on former TNA Tag Team Champions Ace Austin and Chris Bay, the team known as ABC. That should be a good tag team match. I feel like ABC should be getting the victory on that one. That's going to be my pick for that match. In another tag team match that was actually just announced this past week's episode of TNA Impact, or last Thursday's TNA Impact, it will be Steve Macklin and Mike Santana going 2-on-2 against the Rascals, Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. That will be another awesome tag team match. Two hard-hitting superstars taking on two high-flying superstars in a tag team match. In a X Division Championship match, Mustafa Ali will defend the NXT. Wow. TNA X Division Championship against Trent Seven. Two former WWE superstars going after the TNA X Division title. Mustafa Ali famously never won a championship during his run in WWE, which is definitely a shame, but he's doing big things since leaving the company. Trent Seven is a former NXT Tag Team Champion with Tyler Bate under the name Mustache Mountain. And so this will actually be really cool to see British strong style versus the high-flying style of Mustafa Ali. I expect Mustafa Ali to retain his championship and still be X Division champion when this night is over. In a big TNA World Tag Team Championship match, it'll be the System, Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards, defending their TNA Tag Team titles, taking on the Nemeth brothers. For the very first time ever, Ryan Nemeth and Nick Nemeth, formerly known as WWE's Dolph Ziggler, will be challenging for those tag team titles. The Nemeth brothers from what I understand, I don't think have ever teamed up in a company before TNA. So this is a first to see Ryan and Nick teaming up together, two brothers going after the TNA tag team titles. And in a TNA Knockouts World Championship, coming off of her awesome match against Roxanne Perez at NXT Battleground, even in defeat, Jordynne Grace was a star. She made herself look like a star, an even bigger star, which I hopefully will bring more eyes to the TNA product, especially for this event at Against All Odds. Jordynne Grace has an open challenge for the TNA Knockouts World Championship, which definitely makes me wonder that the little tidbit that happened in her match at Battleground with Tatum Paxley and Ash by Elegance fighting over the TNA Knockouts World title was just planting the seeds, and maybe Tatum Paxley will be the wrestler that answers this open challenge. So fingers crossed, guys. And in the main event, Moose will defend the TNA World Championship against, yes, Broken Matt Hardy. Delete in the main event of Against All Odds, guys. This is coming to you live, streaming on TNA's personal app. They have their own wrestling app, TNA Plus, and of course on the Fight TV app, that's FITE app, Cicero, from the Cicero Stadium in Cicero, Illinois, this coming Friday, June 14th. And the next big event that's coming up this coming Saturday, guys, streaming live on Peacock, it will be the Ovo Hydro Arena is the site in Glasgow, Scotland for Clash at the Castle, WWE's big event coming to you live from Scotland. And we have 5 matches, unless there's another match announced before Saturday. It'll be a 5-match card, which I enjoy that WWE condenses their cards to such a nice amount, a nice small amount, because it definitely makes each match feel important. It's not just a bunch of matches for no reason. Having such a condensed card makes every match feel really important. And these are the matches that will take place at Clash at the Castle. A triple threat tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. The reigning defending WWE Women's Tag Team champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defend their tag team titles against Alba Fire and Ela Dawn and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. And it's going to be a homecoming for Alba Fire and Ela Dawn because they are natives of Scotland. So we have a lot of the Scottish superstars on the card for this event, which makes me really happy. That's really cool that Triple H and the creative team did this for a lot of their superstars that are native of Scotland, to present them in such a way on one of the biggest shows of the year in front of their friends and family in their home country. That's really cool to see, man. That makes me happy to really see that. So Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are going to be coming to their home country and maybe leaving with some tag team gold this coming Saturday. We will see. Intercontinental Championship match. I talked about this earlier when I was discussing Chad Gable. Chad Gable challenges Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship one-on-one. And I feel like this may be Chad Gable's time. I think Chad Gable will walk out of Glasgow with the Intercontinental Championship. Even though I'm a huge Sami Zayn fan and I would want to see him have a nice long reign with the championship, I don't want him breaking Gunther's record of 666 days. But I would like to see Sami Zayn have a long reign, but maybe that's not in the cards. Maybe it's all leading up to this. Chad Gable walking out with his first ever singles championship in the WWE. And another countryman from Glasgow, Scotland, having a championship match on one of the biggest shows of the year. Bayley will defend her WWE Women's Championship against Scotland's own Piper Niven. Former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Piper Niven will be accompanied at ringside by her tag team partner, Chelsea Green. And I think that this will be an awesome match. Piper Niven is a beast when it comes to just hard-hitting British strong-style type wrestling. She made a name for herself overseas in Japan and in the UK under the name Viper. If you haven't seen any of her previous matches, you should definitely do yourself a favor and check it out during her rookie years in wrestling. she was definitely one of us standout wrestlers when it comes to female wrestlers in this world of wrestling. So to see her getting a world championship match in her home country for the WWE, just hats off to Triple H. I Quit match for the undisputed WWE Championship. The only way to win this match is to beat your opponent so badly he has to say the words, I quit. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, will defend his undisputed WWE Championship against the phenomenal AJ Styles. And that's going to be a hell of a match. I Quit matches have been some of the best matches, especially for the WWE Championship, that I've ever seen. The one that always comes to mind, of course, is from the 1999 Royal Rumble, The Rock challenging Mankind Mick Foley for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. And famously, in maybe not in a good way, The Rock ended up hitting Mick Foley in the head repeatedly, probably about 20 times, legit. I think it was over 20 times, with a steel chair in front of his wife and his young children. If you haven't seen the movie Beyond the Mat, they actually filmed that. That match was filmed for that movie, that documentary about professional wrestling. And you could see Mick Foley's wife and children crying as The Rock is just boom, 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 chair shot after chair shot. Mick Foley ended up having a huge gash on his head that needed to be sewn together. Mick was covered in blood, and it was just gnarly. It was probably one of the gnarliest I Quit matches I've ever seen. And of course, we're talking about Mick Foley. Bang, bang! And The Rock. This is The Rock in his infancy as a main eventer in the WWE at this time. He was this was his second reign as WWE champion after he won the match. Because yes, Mick Foley was insane, Larry. Of course he was. But Rock won it under controversial terms because he played a recording of Mick Foley from an earlier promo of him saying the words, I quit, I quit, I quit, over the PA system. Mick Foley had never said the words, I quit, which led to their rematch that actually took place during the halftime of the Super Bowl that year, halftime heat. Remember that when WWE used to do matches during halftime? I remember that. Are you guys, anybody out there old enough to remember that? Yeah, they had an empty arena match during halftime of the Super Bowl that year, and The Rock and Mick Foley had an awesome match where Mick Foley won the WWE Championship back from The Rock by putting a forklift on top of The Rock where he couldn't kick out. 1, 2, 3. Mick Foley won the WWE Championship that way. So, I mean, Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles have a lot to live up to. They had an awesome banger of a match, 5-star match at Backlash. Yes, we do. We need that back for sure. Yeah, that would be awesome if WWE did a halftime heat again. That'd be sick. I would love to see that come back. And yes, Super Bowl halftime shows do suck. I only ever watch the Super Bowl for the game itself and the commercials. You know what I'm saying? But yes, guys, they have a lot to live up to. Can Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles I Quit match outshine their awesome match at Backlash? We will see. I think it can. Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles, you can't have a bad match with these two. So I definitely think these guys can live up to it. They're going to have, this is personal now. AJ Styles faked retirement to coax Cody Rhodes to get him to throw down his walls, to be vulnerable. And then boom, AJ Styles, pulling an old Mark Henry, be like, I got a lot left in the tank. I ain't done yet. And he put AJ Styles put his Styles Clash finisher from the steel steps to the arena floor on Cody Rhodes. I mean, that was vicious, guys. AJ Styles, we haven't seen this side of AJ Styles. This new jacked up, badass AJ Styles taking on the fighting champion of Cody Rhodes, the face of the WWE. This will be an awesome match. This next match has to be the main event because of who's involved. The World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest defends the World Heavyweight title against Glasgow's own Drew McIntyre. Yep. Very much so, guys. Yes. Dun, dun, dun. I love that. This is so poetic, guys, because I actually just came across this while we were live on the air, and I just wanted to share this with you. I saved it here on my Facebook notes. 10 years ago to today, 10 years ago today, to the very date today, June 12th, 2014, Drew McIntyre was fired from the WWE. 10 years ago to this day, Drew McIntyre was fired from the WWE. He had to scratch, claw, and fight his way to prove that he was worth a damn, that proved that he was worth everything that everyone expected of him during his first run of WWE to get back to the company. And he did the damn thing, guys. He wrestled all over the world. He went to TNA and rejuvenated his career. He went back overseas to ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling in England and Scotland, and became a huge star there. And then Triple H came calling and said, hey, I need you here in NXT. We need a new star for NXT. And Drew was like, all right, I'm coming. I'll be there. I don't even know if I'm sounding like Drew. but and there he was. Drew McIntyre was back in the WWE, and he climbed the ranks. He went through NXT. He went back to the developmental brand to prove himself, became NXT champion before getting called up to the main roster and becoming the Scottish psychopath that we know today. He's having a hell of a run right now. He's a former 2-time WWE champion and a 1-time World Heavyweight champion, a 2-time NXT champion. That's 5 world titles held since he was fired and rehired. And now, 10 years later, almost to the day that he was fired, he's going to be main eventing the biggest event ever to come to his home country in front of his friends and family. Drew McIntyre has to walk out of Clash of the Castle with the World Heavyweight Championship. Or the Second City Saint, the best in the world. A man who hasn't even announced that he's going to be at the event, which makes it even more suspicious that he may show up, because this past Monday night on Raw, Finn Balor lost the match to Drew McIntyre, which bars the Judgment Day from ringside, which means no Dominic Mysterio, no JD McDonough, no Finn Balor can accompany Damian Priest at ringside for this match, which means what else could happen? Will CM Punk show up in Glasgow and become the ultimate heel and cost Drew McIntyre the World Heavyweight title for a second time? I love putting that out in the ether. Oh man, I just don't. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the riot? I don't even think CM Punk would be able to leave the country safely if he cost Drew McIntyre the world title. We shall see, guys. It's all happening this coming Saturday. Let me see what the start time is, because since they're in Scotland, it's going to be a different start time here in the States. So here in the States, I believe it's going to be starting. What time does it start? I'm trying to find the start time. Oh, I can't find. I think it's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means that's 1 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Texas, which means it'll be 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time when the pay-per-view kicks off here in the United States. So it's a nice, bright and early pay-per-view. You're not tired. You don't have to go to work yet. You can start your Saturday off with some awesome, awesome WWE action. And man, that's it. That's all I got for you today, guys. That's a wrap on IE Sports Radio's premier professional wrestling podcast, the IE Wrestling Show. What do you guys think? Follow me on the X at IE Wrestling Show. Follow me on TikTok, same handle, IE Wrestling Show. Follow IE Sports Radio at IE Sports Radio on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X. Hit me up. Follow me. I'll be live posting during these events. I will be live posting for Clash at the Castle. I'll even put up a vote this coming here in a few minutes. Who do you think is going to win? Guys, thank you for tuning in to this awesome day. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to me while I take time out of my day to present this show to you. Shout out to all the IE Sports Radio Familia that was in the chat. Ralph Calise, Jared Rodriguez, Larry B. And guys, I will see you. Same SoCal Saint time, same SoCal Saint channel. I'll see y'all next time. Take care, guys. Peace.